It's one of those fantastic weekends when the flat and the jumps comes together. We've got Group 1 action. It'll take some getting as well at Doncaster and pretty desperate ground down at Newbury, one would imagine. And the jumpers are back at Cheltenham, the first of 9 visits before the festival itself in March. Jason and Frankie alongside us as always. Jason, the final Group 1 of the year. It's going to be testing on Townmoor.
Oh, they'll know about it coming down there, won't they? And obviously, Aiden with an incredibly strong hand. I suppose the fact that he didn't smash through the Group Ones when we had the future champions at Newmarket, also on Kipco Champions Day as well. It's one of those, wasn't it? It was a little bit strange that he didn't sort of maintain that momentum, bidding to get up to 28 Group 1. So he's probably just on the back foot a little bit going forward, unless he starts mopping up and has a ridiculously strong hand for the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, got one. Yeah, got two at St. Cloud this weekend, of course, and you got the Breeders' Cup still to come. But Frankie, your attention is going to turn to the jumps. We can mention the C word. Cheltenham is back.
Yes, Matt. I'm already starting to think of festival hopefuls, and even actually, we've got horses on the card at Cheltenham that ran at last year's festival, so it's a good quality card. This is when I feel like the jump season starts. I know we have Chepstow, but for me, the first Cheltenham fixture, that's when we really get into it, and we've got some Irish Raiders, as we always do this time of year. We've got Sean Bowen absolutely flying. You could back him blind, so it's a proper strong card. But if you notice, Jace, I have got my Delmar cap on. I am ready for Breeders.
Oh, mate, where the surf meets the turf. It's one of those, isn't it? And hey, listen, and the only reason myself and Matt know surf meets the turf because you can order steak and salmon and you get it on the same plate.
Exactly, that's my idea of surf and turf for sure. Right, we're going to start then with Frankie. Don't forget, like, subscribe, because we'll bring you some Breeders' Cup content as well next week with Frankie stateside. But Frankie, we'll start with you at Cheltenham. Competitive as always, and a very competitive novices handicap chase to open the card.
Yeah, this is a brutal one, to be honest, Matt, to kick us off in terms of finding a winner. Most of these making their seasonal start, plenty of them with sort of intertwining muddy form. I know I mentioned Sean Bowen. This is not going to be my selection, but you'd have to take a second look at Springs Ago. Martin Keithley's a local trainer. He had a winner on this card last year. Normally does well at these October, November Cheltenham fixtures because for a smaller yard, you do get a chance to have a pop. Sean Bowen rides at double figures, and I would give him a second look, Springs Ago. But I'm actually going to go with Emmett Mullins, which sounds somewhat cliche. He comes over and, he obviously gets well supported in the market when they have one that's fancied. But just a recent bit of match fitness. 3 starts sort of through the summer. Last seen at Killarney, finishing second to Nastia, has gone off favourite the last 3 times. The penny's surely got to drop soon, and maybe it's just coming across the Irish Sea that does the trick for Emmett Mullins. So there's plenty of these that are hard to judge because we haven't seen them yet. Darcy's friend has been knocking on the door, and maybe that'll be the difference, just a bit of match fitness for Emmett Mullins.
It's a great afternoon on ITV because we've got start with a 2.5 mile handicap chase, and then we go straight to Doncaster to join Jason and his team for a 5 furlong sprint handicap. There we are, get the best of both worlds. I say sprint handicap. I don't think we're doing too much fast in this type of ground, though, Jace.
They will be knowing about this late on, won't they? They're going to set off like the proverbial rocket. Lexington Blitz will be pinging along for Robert Cowell and the team. You got Rosario's off a real good run at Ascot behind Roach Power. And Solar Acclaim was going in great form, who managed to go back to back. Actually won the Racing League, one of those at Yarmouth along with Chester, and has just gone missing the last twice. So 2 horses that jump out at me. Blue Storm, who ran an absolute clunker last time for us up at York, but he's miles better than that, so maybe down to the minimum and with bottomless conditions to suit him. So it'll be between Blue Storm and Francisco's Peace. Adrian Keatley does particularly well at this meeting at the back end with a few mud lovers. He's thrown up the odd superstar here in the past, but I'm going to stick with Blue Storm. Burnt fingers last time. I'll go back in each way for Gemma Tutty. Jack Mitchell gets on board.
Okay, then a couple against the field. Blue Storm, the main player for Jason in the opener. Back to Cheltenham, Frankie. Got a 3-mile novices hurdle. Plenty of point-to-point fun coming across here. Lots of unexposed runners. This is tricky too.
Yes, it is. Plenty unexposed, Matt. But I think off the back of Gordon Elliott's 5-timer, over in America and winning the American Grand National, you'd probably have to have faith that he is up and running and firing, because for a good few years he always did well in October, November. But remember last year he brought a load of ammo over and none of them actually got the job done. I'm sure he had a boatload of horses, and I don't know if he left with one winner in October. But given his current form, and off the back of Paul Efils at the top of the market, winning by 9 lengths last time out, and being well supported in his last couple of starts, I think you'd have good faith that that's actually quite a smart horse going somewhere. To go off 1-9, do it easily in a canter. This is probably one that Gordon's gone, that will do for Cheltenham. So I'm excited to see Paul Efils. I reckon he actually could turn into a proper horse throughout the season in the sort of 3 mile hurdle division. Jack Kennedy on board. Not a bad price. 10-3, 3-1, something like that. I know you look out, we'll speak about this later on in the card, but look out for those silks, because that may be the Nap Silks, just not in this race.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that then a little later on. Back to you, Jace. The final Group 1 of the season is the Futurity Stakes. Aidan O'Brien, a very strong hand here.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny, wasn't it? Benevento Cellini was going to be nigh on odds on, wasn't he? Then all of a sudden they've thrown Hawk Mounting in, who managed to win the Beresford. Past winners for the Beresford: Capri, Saxon Warrior, Japan and Luxembourg. So all of a sudden he's leapfrogged everybody to the top of the market. I'm all over his outsider of 3, Action. He put up a good performance when winning his maiden. He then come over. He runs in the Royal Lodge behind Bow Echo. Didn't get the best of rides. Maybe he's a bit of a big old lump and he didn't really handle the dip at Newmarket. But his penultimate furlong was the quickest in the contest by some way. For all the world, he looks like a mile on a galloping track in a deep surface is going to bring out the best in him. So I'm pretty keen with Action. It's mad, isn't it? You got Oxagon in there. I thought he was a superstar, and it sort of smacks a little bit of desperation that they're throwing him back in when he didn't look like he handled the conditions before. But Action, outsider of 3 for Aidan O'Brien. Let's hope we get a decent pilot.
Okie dokie then. Action then for Jason, the outsider of O'Brien's 3. Looking for that 23rd Group 1 of the season. It's a race that he has farmed, of course, down the years. Back to the Cotswolds and the beautiful Presbury Park in New Frankery. 3 miles and a furlong, handicap chasing your old mate, top of the lot.
Rock My Way or Highland.
And that's Harlem.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, have I jumped a race here, or have you jumped a race? Where's Nasalem? He is right. God, yes, he's right down. Yeah, carrying 12 stone. Yeah, he's probably not going to do this, is he? Now that he's up to a mark of 150 after I didn't back him off a mark of about 125, was it? Yeah, some old favourites in here, actually. The Short Go was second in this last year. Highland I enjoyed following last season. He really loves Cheltenham. Who else we got in here? 3 Car Bragg was second in the Kerry National. He's got to lug a fair amount of weight, 11-13. That'll probably, you'd think, would be too much for him to win. He has a terrible habit of just trudging along into a place. Dunboyne was a previous Kim Muir 4th or 5th a couple of years ago. He might actually have a squeak up. I think we both backed him one year at the festival, Matt. But it's going to go to Henry de Bromhead, I think. Anyway, the Short Go, second on this last year, behind Senior Chief, who was a decent horse. They had a crack with him at the Hennessy, didn't they? Didn't really work out for the Short Go season-wise. He was 5th in the Ultimate, which isn't bad, but by a good few lengths. Was pulled up last time over 3-7. But as this was last year the target, I'm pretty sure that, again, this has been thought about as a race to come and win. So where there are some questions over, is this the start of the season for a horse to go on to other things, or is this a handicap we're really going to be fit for? I could probably say in good confidence that the Short Go comes here ready for action. So hopefully he can go one better than last year.
Okay, another one going to Ireland, the Short Go then for Frankie. Back to you, Jason. We've got another listed contest for the juveniles. It's the Prospect Stakes.
Yeah, not a bad little heat. If you were strictly going on ratings, it looks a little bit of a match-up, doesn't it, between Boston Dan and Lam Yai. The only one they've sort of thrown in there who could run a little bit better than it has done so far, Spanish Waltz, who goes for Valmont, Beckett and Hector Crouch. But the second that was behind Spanish Waltz last time has run since, I think, from a mark of 80 and got absolutely lapped. So it gives me a big alarm bells and the red flag for that one. Lam Yai probably would have won the Firth of Clyde up at Ayr, but for being up in the van the whole way. So did incredibly well to re-rally, if you like. Got picked up late in the party by a real smooth move, late challenge, if you like. And for me, Lam Yai is off a mark of 97. Shane Gray, Carl Burke. Carl Burke cannot stop having winners, can he? She's going to be incredibly tough to beat.
Okay, Lamb, yes, another one for Carl Burke, who's on such a great end, of course, to the campaign, a great autumn, I should say. Right, we're over timber then, Frankie, back at Cheltenham, 255. It's a Potemps qualifier. What's going to win? What's going to sneak in fourth to protect his mark?
Yeah, well, as you look at this, suddenly all the Irish trainers pop up. Gordon's got a few. There's one in from Willie Mullins. There's one in from Emmett Mullins. There's one in from Henry de Bromhead. I mean, yeah, there's one in from John McConnell. This is well, there's two in from John McConnell. That's where you get your festival chances in, isn't it, boys? And that maybe somewhat influences my selection. Not to give Emma Lavelle a negative spin on things, but you do sometimes get a slightly smaller yard able to win these when everyone else is having festival plans. And Marchantou was 7th in the Bartlett under Harry Cobden, who's booked again at the end of last season. Prior to that, did manage to win a couple of times last year. A good, solid stayer. And I just wonder if maybe they might come here and think, let's get this boy to win at Cheltenham, because you don't get many chances in these Potemps qualifier series, as you do get, obviously, the best of the best come over and try and win them. So, yeah, I think this could go to Hollywood Harry. If it's not Sean Bowen, then siding with Cobden's not a bad shout, is it?
Certainly not. Marchantou, I know you know connections of those as well.
Yeah.
Don't you? So, yeah, good chance then for him, Lavelle, as you say. Right, back to you, Jason. We're switching venues off to Newbury. Again, the juveniles taking centre stage. Again, it's a group race. It's the Horace Hill here, over 7 furlongs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Simon and Ed Crisford, and they've produced an absolute corker here, haven't they? Pandemonium. You remember they won this when it was really testing conditions with Knight. This lad looks in a similar sort of mould. He's gone through the grades. He wins a couple. Went up to Redcar. Admittedly, it was a little race, nothing exciting, but he carried a £7 penalty. It was one of those. Oshin Orr was on board. He had a little look round at the furlong marker, gave him half a squeeze, and then spent the rest of the time with his feet in the dashboard. Look, Time to Turn's probably going to be favourite. You got Weechard, who won pretty well, but it was in handicap company at Doncaster, and he's going to have to take a massive step forward. In all honesty, Pandemonium, he could just be the good thing on the card at Newbury. That would be the way I'll be leaning.
Okay, then. Pandemonium then for Jason, remain unbeaten in the Horace Hill. Back to you, Frankie. The smallest field on the card is this 4-year-old hurdle, and we've got a Derby winner in action. It was Apprentice Derby, granted. Give it to me, OJ. Signed off for the win at Sandown last season. 2 wins on the flat. He's odds on. Will he take some beating, or is there anything against him?
I think he'll take some beating, Matt. I can't really see anything improving past him. He sets a good standard, doesn't he? Both with his rating on the flat, coming into any sort of hurdle at rated 90 is going to give you a good chance. And then the fact that he's already done it plenty of times over timber as well. So, yeah, I think keep this one straightforward. Your eye is slightly drawn to Sean Bowen riding for James Owen, who, as we've seen on the flat, has got some amount of improvement out of his horses. But I think this is a reach too far for the rest of the field, and Give It To Me, OJ should just go and win this, really.
Okay. Keep it simple then. Favourite backers in Clover in the Masterson's Hurdle. Back to you, Jace, for the final of 5 flat races in front of the ITV camera. And a bumper day of 11 across the cards. And it's other crackers, a Group 3. It's the St. Simon Stakes. We've got Alarcy, the old boy, at the top of the handicap, at the top of the weights. We've got some 3-year-old fillies getting the allowances down the bottom and plenty in between.
Yeah, my very first group win was in this particular contest back in 1824 for Luca Kamani. Kithanga who went on to be a superstar mare as well. She absolutely bolted in. And I think it could be a chance for one of the girls in the lineup, and they're towards the outside of the market. Look, we know a lot about Ancient Wisdom. He was 5th behind Jan Bruegel in the at Epsom. That wasn't a bad run at all, but he got chinned, didn't he, last time at Goodwood? Was a little bit disappointed. Hamish, we know all about him. Now, Revoir has ran on 7 occasions. On 6 of those, after her maiden success, she's been in stakes company. So has always been in against some really hot company. I thought she's run really, really well the last twice. Stamina is going to be the key, I think. And she does stay. I know 1 or 2 people pigeonholed her as a 1.25 mile filly, but a bit of dig in the ground, 1.5 miles, she could easily come up with the goods. The reason she's a selection as well, out there around about 10, 11 to 1 in a dead 8 runner field. And they all look like they're going to go. That's the key.
There we go. Then the H-way play. Then hopefully get the 3 places. Revoir at the bottom there in the St. Simon. And then finally, but not least, Frankie. We have got this 3 mile novices chase. Just looking at that. I can't, Intense Approach is still a novice.
There's it's an interesting field actually, with the Pied Piper in there as well. But this is where the nap comes, Matt. It's where the nap comes with Anyway. He was second at 125 to 1 at the festival last year, and he's back to the scene of the crime. And I think just that it's reasonably sound ground, back to Cheltenham, he can run a massive race. He was a little bit disappointing in the Kerry National over at Listowel, but different track, wildly different track to Cheltenham, obviously. And Kenneth Budd's only a small trainer, but one that certainly does a decent job with him. I'm just hoping, bloody Cheltenham, eh? That's all we talk about in March. But I'm just hoping that second last year hasn't stung Kenneth Budds and the owners enough to really just try and plot an entire season around going to the festival. But I think he's too good of a horse to let him run in a race like this and not have a good crack. So, I'm hoping he's tuned up. He should be after going to the Kerry National. So anyway, be my nap of the day, Matt. I think he'll go well.
Yeah, Kerry National. You'll see it riding the Galway plate, and here he is in a novices chase. It doesn't add up, does it? 5 and 7 are Irish. They have come in over in their droves for the showcase meeting. And of course, they'll be back in March. So that's Anyway, then it's Frankie's nap. Jason, what would be your best bet on the card?
Yeah, I'm going to lean back. I think that Pandemonium takes a world of beating for the juveniles. The way that he won, I know it was an average race and he probably beat trees, but he carried a £7 penalty, 9 stone 11, and 1 pulling the proverbial cart. And look, you've got to have a look at action. For all the world, he's related to Lambourne. We know about him. He's a dour stayer. This is him. Bottomless ground at Donny, over a mile, you are going to want to be an extreme stayer next year. You know, not like I don't look at this and think, is anyone that comes out of here going to be turning back up for the 2,000 guineas? If they get a mile on bottomless ground at the back end of the season, they are definite stayers for next year. So keep an eye on action. Outsider of 3, Pandemonium the nap.
Pandemonium, then hopefully causing plenty of that at Newbury on Saturday afternoon. Right, thanks to the boys. 11 races covered between the jumps and the flat. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and you get to be notified when there's a new episode. And of course, next week we'll have the Breeders' Cup on our horizon as well. Thanks to the boys. Best of luck with everything back in this week, and we'll see you soon.